What? Oh, ladies and
How you doing?
gentlemen.
How you doing? How
Ladies and
you doing, my
gentlemen.
guy?
Brother, I'm here. I've made it. Trials,
Present, present,
tribulations.
and
We
accounted
are
for.
we are present and accounted for. Got a lot to talk about today, man. You know what it is. We starting off with the pregame. We ain't even got no intro. If you here watching, you already know what it is. Welcome to the pregame. Tuesday night Raw. Monday night
It
Raw on a
is
Tuesday.
the late night groove with Reggie and Norwood. Welcome to the pregame.
Quiet Storm. Y'all remember that on V103? On V109 Team Media. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the late night. You see the ambiance. I got the light on, but he got the look like a lit up candle jar back there. Got the red and blue going on over there. I see you.
I mean, you got to have, we got to support the people who support us. And the only people who support us right now are the Atlanta Braves. Everybody else hates us and hates themselves. But that's fine. We ain't even talking about y'all today. This ain't got nothing to do with you. There are so many other things that me and Reggie are interested in talking about that don't involve those other two fools. But blessed, highly favored, happy to be here, man. And I hate to say we're going to start on a relatively somber note. This is something that I think has been a major part of you and I, our entire
Life.
career,
I mean,
life. Yeah.
life. I mean, think about it. So what we're talking about, we're gonna go ahead and get started. When y'all trickle in. We appreciate the few that are already here. Tiger Woods and Nike have decided to part ways. I am not. I like shoes. I have a collection of shoes. I download and save pictures of shoes that eventually that I'm going to get. I buy probably like one or two a year, and I just keep adding. But I don't keep my ear to the streets when it comes to shoes and Nike and their partnerships. But I didn't see this one coming, and I didn't see any inkling or any news that this was gonna happen. This seems like it came out of nowhere for me. Did I miss something?
Yes and no. You gotta really be like I'm a sports marketing, sport management guy. So I've kind of known about this for probably about 5 or 6 months. We knew the date was coming. There were different things that kind of let us know that Nike and Tiger were going apart. But due to the Phil Knight Tiger Woods relationship, I wasn't ever sure. Like Phil and Tiger are like legitimately like this. Phil is one of the guys who goes to Tiger's tournament, whatever. He sat with, Tiger's mom at many a tournament. But over
And Dad, when he
time,
was alive.
yeah, this relationship, and I'm only talking about the business relationship because I'm 100% sure that Phil Knight and Tiger Woods don't have any issue, but the business relationship has kind of gone in a different direction. I'll go ahead and tell you guys, I'm not going to bury the lead here. Tiger is going to TaylorMade. Once he changed his clubs, they went over to TaylorMade, and then from there, it was only a matter of time before he took everything over there. There's been a job posting about it, brand management, managing this new brand. So it's been on the way. It's been on the horizon. Overall, I think that to a certain degree, Nike is divesting out of golf. There have been a lot of smaller boutique sneakers that have really gotten into the running game. And if you've looked at Nike over the last couple of years, for the most part, the Nike, the running shoes haven't gotten that much better other than you get the 270s, you'll get some things, but nothing.
They're definitely leaning into the classics.
Yeah, classic colorways. So it's nothing really new. The sneaker, for the most part, they just haven't.
Sorry.
What is the confusion?
No, it's just y'all know I got a lot going on over here. I produce the show, so I have stats, I have soundboard, I have my phone, and in the group we have the Splashcast versus the World. I apologize for interrupting, but Eric Spoelstra just signed an 8-year, $120 million extension that we'll talk about in
Correct.
basketball. But I knew he signed an
Yeah.
extension, but 8 years,
Yeah.
120. Go ahead, back to Tiger and TaylorMade.
Yeah. But overall, Nike Golf wasn't making enough money for him. And at that point, Tiger's gonna go do his own thing. He's already, after the whole situation, it's just never been the same. And at the end of the day, Tiger's not playing every Sunday anymore.
I
So
think
at that
that's really
point,
what it was.
you really got to reallocate assets specifically after the live golf thing has kind of taken over. You If you're going to invest, you need to invest with those guys who are going to be seen a lot more. And it just wasn't, Nike is sunk in basketball and running. They were born out of running, and basketball has always been their thing. So at this point, when people are kind of like, inflation is high, people not spending as much money, you got to reinvest in the things that make you money right now. So it it was very classy of both parts. Tiger put out a little blurb and basically said, "Hey man, it's been a fantastic 27, 28 years. I love everything, all the experiences with Nike." And then, Nike doesn't really often put out a closeout graphic for you. There was none of this with Kyrie. It was like deuces. We'll see you when we see you. But in this case, class personified by both parts. And yeah, it's just crazy that we may not see. Well, we won't see Tiger in Nike red on Sundays. I'm sure it'll still be
Well,
red. That's his thing, but it won't be the same.
so you said a lot there. You said a mouthful.
Pause.
There's he's been with them for 27 years. I mean, he's 45 if I'm not mistaken. He's been with them since he was 18 years old or somewhere in there, since he turned pro.
Yeah.
Um Nike stood by him, and I don't ever really, cape for organizations and corporations. But Nike stood by him through all of that stuff. All of the stuff,
Correct.
the personal things that went on, good and bad. And I'm not just speaking about, with the women. I'm talking about when he went through it with his family, when his father passed, the redemption story. They never, ever left his side. Now, you can look at it two ways. You could say, yeah, because he was bringing them billions of dollars. Well, yes, but we've seen major corporations cut bait immediately.
I
And
think
then
that stands to the relationship between him and Phil Knight. They're friends. I would damn near say family, just the way that you've seen Phil and Tiger's mom, interact. Nobody else is getting that close to Tiger's mom. You're not able to have a conversation. You're not able to sit with her at tournaments. That's off limits.
uh,
And I think that's always been a contributing factor on, them looking out for each other. And even like the way that they parted was just doesn't happen.
so him going to TaylorMade. What I think this is, and let me get my points out. What I think this is everybody's career transitions. Tiger's career has transitioned to the senior PGA level almost. He's one of the younger he's not a senior yet, but he's in that gray area. He's no longer the dominant or no shot really relevant golf player in terms of competition anymore. So because of the injuries, because his back has pretty much just been destroyed. Plus the ankle and the knee and everything. He's starting to transition out of the main. He's already transitioned out of the mainstay of golf. So when you transition out of the mainstay of golf, from a business standpoint, you can only go so far. And at some point, it has to be a mutual understanding, which this is, that the investment is not giving me the return.
Now
So
the tricky part. Well, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Because
so
there's another small caveat at the end here.
so with that, I think that going to TaylorMade will allow him to transition to the senior PGA as well as become the sponsor of his business ventures. And I got a third point, but go ahead. And, what were you about to say?
Well, there's an interesting point about this is Charlie. And Charlie is slowly, ramping up to be a professional. And it'll be very interesting because I appreciate everything that TaylorMade does for golf. But if Charlie is a good golfer,
Right back. They circling right back.
that also is the reason I think that there's very this parting is very respectful because they know that he has an asset in his back pocket. And you want to be there. If y'all have to part ways for a little bit and come back, you want that relationship to come back. What we want to see. We want to see Charlie and Tiger in red on Sundays.
Well, the
We
thing
want to see
is,
that.
but that contradicts your point though. Nike has some soul searching to do because, and I don't want to bury the lead. I don't want to jump and the ADHD jump and go to different sports and whatever. But Devin Booker just released his shoe, and them shoes on Nike look absolutely awful to me. When you made a point of Nike's newest shoes do not, to me, in my opinion, and a lot of people I know are like-minded people that I hang around. So, a lot of them aren't impressed with the newest shoes that Nike comes out with. And at some point, if you're not getting a return on the investment, the product isn't what it used to be, sometimes you got to move on. And sometimes you gotta, yes, Charlie is an ace in the hole. He is. But Nike has some soul searching. Y'all got to figure out how to come out with a good looking shoe, because there's other brands, like you said, smaller brands and larger brands that are going to come for Charlie now. And y'all don't think y'all gonna forget about Live Golf now. They have enough money to start their own brand yesterday if they wanted to. And you've already seen golfers for the whole tour.
Everybody.
You've already seen golfers who were
and their family
against the Live Golf movement and saying this, that, and the third. Well,
they kind of
starting to backtrack. They starting to backtrack.
Moonwalking.
Saying, hey, I wish, when you miss out on a $500 million or $1 billion and you see somebody else who may not be as good as you making that much money, paying off all their debts and still living good, at some point, Nike is going to have to take a look in the mirror when it comes to this design of their shoes. So this, I think, is a wonderful thing for Tiger. I think he definitely has some stuff in the fold. And I think it's a reality check for Nike, because there's really nobody else. Now, I follow more black-owned golf brands. So there's really no other golfer that I've seen, except for maybe like what's his name? Rory.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
Now, Rory backpedaled out of his position like Dion in coverage. But you're right. I mean, Jason Tatum has, I think, a pretty decent sneaker. Luka has a pretty decent sneaker. Zion has a tricky, player edition. Sabrina Ionescu, I don't know if I said that right,
you did.
She has the best sneaker out of everybody. And no offense to the women, but typically the women don't get the best sneaker. Shout out to Jason Sudeikis, SNL guy, comedian, all of that. He's done a lot of support for her. But her sneaker is fire. As soon as I saw it, I was like, this is the good one. And
you think that's going to be the next move? I mean, that obviously the women's sports movement is it. So you think that they're going to focus more? Because Ionescu, they wearing them in the men's game. They wearing her shoes in the men's game. You think that's where they're going to refocus?
Duke is wearing her sneaker. Now, you got to remember, everybody's going to work now. Everybody's going to work. And, one thing I do, I hate the Devin Booker sneakers. At the end of the day, they're terrible. They're awful. Awful, terrible, the worst. But that's him. He wants a lot of creative input. If you look at his style and the way that he dresses, it's Devin Booker. Now, whatever that is what it is. I'm not here for the fashion rundown. But for me, I don't like the sneaker. It's very plain, generic almost. But that's where it gets tricky. Do you, as a person who doesn't design sneakers, do you want more creative input, or maybe you back up off of it and let Nike do what Nike's really good at and design. Like Sabrina sneakers, fire, undeniable. And it doesn't
That's
like no, it don't look like a women's sneaker. It looks like, hey, this is a sneaker. If you play basketball, put this on, lace them up.
so that's the soul searching that Nike has to do. We are gonna give Tiger a round of applause, man, because to stay in the game that long and pull off what he did and be one of the greatest golfers of all time, and then to start your offspring who looks like he's going to be better than you just because he has more resources. Congrats, man. Congrats. Let's move on to, y'all know, when it comes to the pregame, we always get our baseball takes out of the way. We talk about the Braves during the ATL edition, which is out, by the way, came out today. Y'all go back and listen, like, follow, subscribe.
Ho.
But in the rest of the league, man, the Dodgers are going for it right now. They are pulling what you call a Los Angeles Rams move. They are deferring pretty much all of the cap space for all of the money for the last 3 players that they've signed, which was Hernandez, Teoscar, Hernandez, who signs a deal, 20 out of the $23.5 million deal he signed. $8.5 million will be deferred to be paid out from 2030 to 2039. Also, Shohei Ohtani is basically deferring his 90% of his contract or something like that to 2030. And then they're also their pitcher that they signed from Japan, Mr. Yamamoto, I'm not going to try the first name, is deferring part of his contract. So the Dodgers are, this is smart if it works, taking advantage of the deferred payment rule and are banking on inflation. They're banking on salaries will continue to go up. Money for baseball will continue to come in, and deferring that payment so that they can sign more stars now and go get it. Go get the championship.
Well, it's tricky because the money is not this deferred money, so they don't pay interest, which is really good for the organization. Basically, like we said in the past, you just get to bank the money. So you put the money in an escrow account and you get to gain the interest. So all of the money that money makes, you get to make it. So
which
when you have
you
to
can
pay
then
them,
use it to pay them or sign other players to contracts that are current.
which is really good. I like the theory of it, but I'm also going to be very honest. You start getting cute, you been like, hey, you better play baseball, dog. That's one thing I'm gonna tell you. Y'all do all the rest of this mystical, magical, whatever it is. You still gotta play baseball, and I'm gonna tell you, if you don't defer that money, you are petty for that shit. And Reggie said, if you get to playing and it don't work out, they're gonna look at you crazy. So
yeah, shout out to Sneaky.
I ain't even wish you the best of luck.
Shout out to
now. Let's keep it real.
Shout out to Sneaky. He's right, man. I actually had the chat hidden by accident. My bad. Sneaky says Show Day has now replaced Bobby Bonilla Day and will be hilarious for years to come. If it doesn't work out, remember Bobby Bonilla Day. All of that's funny because the Mets are terrible. But if this works out, they're good, man. And let me tell you something. What I really wanted to talk about with Mr. Yamamoto was he has a clause in his contract that he may not be assigned to the minor leagues without consent, which means I'm not going, because I'm not going to consent to go to the minor leagues, which means you have to sign, you have to pitch with him, and all this money guaranteed. This is in the bank. Oh, yeah. So you have to play him. And, oh, man, people are hating. In the comments, people are already wishing. Now, of course, the demographic and the reason why starts with R, ends with ism.
Demographic.
Starts with R, ends with ism, are saying he's a baby. They can't wait for the Tommy John surgery. First off, this is genius for me. If I have this is like the Russell Wilson contract. If I can put that in the contract and you gonna let me, and y'all gonna sign it, then sign it. Whatever. Y'all can't. And the thing about the difference is you can't take this back. You can't say, hey, defer nothing. You have to pay me. Ain't no cutting. Nothing. So if I can do it, and I'm from Japan, I'm the #1 pitcher in Japan, and you paying me all this money? No, you can't send me nowhere. Nope. Not at all.
Well, you won't be sending me to Grand Rapids. Are you crazy? You know who I am? You're going to send me to the minor league, send me home, dog. That's how I feel. Pick your poison. But we ain't going to be here all day, and we ain't finna play all day. You going to do what you going to do or don't do nothing at all. It don't matter to who. Me, big dog, because I'm rich. Now, we also have to acknowledge Los Angeles is doubling down. Tripling down.
Tripling down, dog.
And is that gonna be their game plan? Them like
so with the roster that they've built. And this is mean of me. I don't care, but I'm trying to drive this car PC now. I'm a but I don't care. I'm a brave. I'm tired. Ain't no filter when I'm tired now.
I ain't got no
He said Dodgers got a tight. With this, the Dodgers have to win multiple championships. You can't sign the best, almost maybe the greatest two-way player of all time.
Oh no! Let's look at that payroll. Let's look at that payroll.
Plus have Freddie Freeman, one of the, if not the best first baseman. Mookie Betts, plus you sign Yamamoto. You have other players that you signed. There's a couple more.
You still have Clayton Kershaw over there somewhere?
Yeah, they got Clayton over. I think they eventually Clayton got to go.
Wee boy, that money, run it up.
But you can't. Betts, you can't.
30 million.
See,
Freddie Freeman, 27 million. Tyler Glasnow, 17 million. Teoscar Hernandez, 15 million. Chris Taylor, $13 million, and we ain't got none of the new additions on this joint yet. Oh, wee boy, run it up. Spend that money, yo. Spend that money. I want to see it. Because y'all think y'all can buy baseball. Baseball, you got to build a team. You just can't buy players, Yankees, Mets.
Yes, the Dodgers are the Yankees of the. They're Brooklyn. They the original Yankees. They the Brooklyn Dodgers. All they do is move to L.A. They do the same thing the Yankees do. So with that said, what I'm saying is, you can't have 10 years worth. You can't have $1 billion of deferred contracts and win one championship. You can't do it. You got to have more.
The agreement, however, pushes the team's offseason spending commitments to over $1.2 billion. When including free agent deals from Shohei and Mr. Yamamoto and Joe Kelly. Woo, boy. And a 5-year extension for Tyler. Woo, run that money up. Spend every dime you got, boy. Woo. I love it. Spend that money.
If it don't work out, y'all kind of stuck now. So, speaking of stuck, sometimes money ain't everything.
It is tricky if you got it, and it might get tricky if you don't win. Ask who, dumbass.
Speaking of money, I threw this on there because I've never seen somebody take shots at their own boss and network like Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee
Come on with it, man. We waiting.
Pat McAfee said there are some people actively trying to sabotage us, which is the Pat McAfee show from ESPN. I think we have a soundbite. Let's see if it plays. Here it goes.
We understand that more people are watching this show than ever before. We're very thankful for the ESPN folks being very hospitable. Now, there are some people actively trying to sabotage us from within ESPN. Funny. More specifically, I believe Norby Williamson is the guy.
He put a name on it.
Who is attempting to sabotage our program. I'm not 100% sure. That is just seemingly the only human that has information, and then somehow that information gets leaked. And it's wrong, and then it sets a narrative of what our show is, and then are we just going to combat that from a rat every single time? I don't know, but like somebody tried to get ahead of our actual ratings release
from a what?
With wrong numbers.
Say that again.
He said did he say rat?
Yeah. Yeah. I watched this live. He went in. Let's see.
12 hours beforehand. That's a sabotage attempt. And it's been happening basically this entire season from some people who didn't necessarily love the old edition of the Pat McAfee show to the ESPN family. Sure. There's a lot of that.
Now, this is a little tricky because ESPN is not totally ESPN right now. The ESPN and Disney are kind of embattled in a little fight. So you got people on both sides. But like I was talking to a person yesterday, this is going to be the end of BYOA, bring your own audience. They're not going to let ESPN is never going to relinquish this much control like they did with Pat McAfee. You have had last week where you had Aaron Rodgers say that Jimmy Kimmel was on Epstein Island. That was not received well. That's very, very, very smoky. And that is one of the things you just cannot say nor do. And then you come back today with all this autonomy and you start shooting at people who work at ESPN. That's all that ain't it, man. I'm gonna tell you right now. ESPN is notorious for liking to have control. And this is the reason that I've always said that.
Appreciate the like, DJ. Y'all appreciate the like.
What up? ESPN has always kind of run through two demographics very quickly. They're women. They're only there for typically 2 or 3 years. And then they're African American people. They are typically there for about 2 or 3 years. As they get confident and they grow as an audience and they feel like they can really kind of express themselves. I'll give you the example of Michael Smith and Jamel Hill. Soon as they start speaking on things that really matter to them,
got them right up.
You got to find a new place to be. And I think that they went with Pat McAfee because they haven't invested in their audience in a long time. And Pat McAfee already came with an audience. But when you do a strategic partnership like they did, that guy knows he comes with an audience. My audience is going to be here. I brought my audience to you.
That's an interesting take. Because while I do think that the bring your own audience is a trend that might not keep going, they still have to shell out a lot of money for Stephen A. Smith. Whatever they decide to do, if they either they're going to shell out a lot of money or they are not going to send him. Oh, come on. They are going to let him walk, which I think is something that he wants to do anyway. And he'll end up going, and he wants to be like a late night show, get to CNN, get to more political talk, which is why you could tell he's setting people up to be part of First Take and take it and run.
I think there's a strategic partnership there. I think that, and I was talking to somebody about this, and last night I had a very long discussion about the landscape of media going forward and podcasting as a whole. I think that I don't want to call Shannon Sharp like necessarily a plant, but I think that there is
in the media world.
There's a concerted effort to put him to ease him into the Stephen A. Smith spotlight. If you notice, if you look at the game, it's him and Stephen A. Smith in the championship ring photo. That's not by accident. That wasn't
you think
wasn't
that's ESPN though? I think that's Stephen A. trying to usher him in so that Stephen A. can leave.
There's two parts. Stephen A. is trying, Stephen A. built this at the end of the day. He built this. It's his baby. I think he wants to leave it in number one, I think he wants to leave it in a black person's hands. And I feel like he's like, hey, I can leave this to Shannon. I'm going to teach you how to do this. I'm going to get you into a place where you're comfortable and you're killing it. And then I'm going to transition, which I think number one is beautiful. That's how it's supposed to be. I like it. HBCU to HBCU handoff. I love everything about this. And I think that he wants to be able to maintain the relationships. But I think, if you heard him probably about 6 months ago, he doesn't like that. Even as much as he's getting paid right now, he probably getting paid 50% of his true value. So
Yeah, he's had a #1 debate sports show for like 12 years now.
he works too hard. He works basketball. He does the morning show. He's just not getting compensated for his time. And I think that once he saw what they did with Pat McAfee, what am I doing here? Y'all just gave him the money. He come and do his show for a couple hours and get to go home. I'm carrying this damn thing.
Nah, they starting to put him. He's more college football, but they starting to put him more and more on other shows. Too.
You gotta. We're paying you a lot of money, and we don't really have another person who garners that level of fame like that, and not necessarily fame, but Pat McAfee has the ability to really. As I'm not the biggest fan necessarily of the show itself mechanically, but he's one of the few. He's gonna get Aaron Rodgers on there. He had some type of partnership with Arthur Smith, where Arthur Smith was on there. He's one of the few people who gets Nick Saban regularly. He has that connection.
It came out he was paying a lot of them people, but yeah. So
sure, yeah.
But the thing, well, he actually explained it. He said, well, once I got the bag, he was like, why would I not give him some money? But the thing that Shannon Sharp, as quietly as kept, is really not quiet no more. He left FS1, and then he took a few months off. And then he initiated himself into ESPN quietly. It was very steadily. It wasn't like, I'm just here. He's also building his own audience. I mean, the Cat Williams just went set $24 million views. Was it 7 million views in 8 hours? 25 million views in 24 hours. Yeah. So Shannon Sharp is getting paid by DraftKings. He's getting paid by what's the other one? The one that everybody does, starts with a P. Prize Picks. He's got Prize Picks. So he's building his own entire show.
39 million views in 6 days.
So he's building his own show. He's building his own network. He's got Club Shay Shay. He's got Ocho Cinco. He's got Gil. He's in the comedian space now. He can't go anywhere else. I mean, he can go anywhere in the comedic space because of Cat Williams and bringing Said and all of them on there. This is forever linked with him. So he, from now on, even though y'all want to talk about his interview skills or whatever, is going to get better. He has his own following now. There's people that know about Cat Williams that don't even watch any sports.
No,
he is.
There's a couple of things here. Now, I had a super long conversation last night to the wee hours of the morning about this, like everything on the media landscape. Number one, I'm gonna tell y'all, since we're gonna talk about it, Cat Williams. This is a setup by Cat Williams. Yeah. Cat Williams gave y'all a 2.5 hour comedy special, and he hit it as an interview. But if you watch that interview, Cat Williams basically maneuvered and hit every joke how he wanted to strategically over the 2.5 hours. Now, I'm also going to speak because y'all have taken shots at Shannon. I'm going to tell you, me and Reggie are podcasters, and we've interviewed people. It is a process, and you do it, and you learn, and you get better, and you do it, and you learn, and you get better. That's a unique skill. So I know that y'all think that, maybe he's not perfect.
Hold up, before you learn, but the most seasoned podcaster, interviewer, TV personality, analyst couldn't do nothing about that. Cat came on there and said, how you doing? Cedric the Entertainer is a liar, and went on an 1.5 hour rant. You have to let them cook. 2.5 At some hours. Point, you got to let them, at some point, because Shannon tried to bring it back, but at some point, I'm not going to stop 8 million views in 2 hours. This is Cat. Do what you got to do.
You do it. In the first 10 minutes, you said, oh, we got something here.
We here.
I mean, we put it in the chat. I said, oh, whoa, he wildin'.
The producer said, hey, bro. The producer for Shannon said, we got something. We got to let it go. Like, at that point, you got to go. So what I'm saying is to bring this all the way back to the point of ESPN and Pat McAfee being Sabotage. Sometimes hey, when you try to bring your own audience, or you try to bring somebody with their own audience, that gives them they don't have any reason to abide by your rules and not say anything. I've already got I got your money, and I've got 250 million views or whatever he got, and I got YouTube money.
And you better be very careful. Like, I understand that Stephen A. Smith wants to transition this to Shannon Sharp, and I think that Shannon Sharp will take it. But also, first of all, 39 million views in 6 days puts you in a whole different stratosphere. It is going to be damn near impossible for you to
Kev trying to be our producer.
Anybody. Yes, it is going to be damn near impossible.
We see you, Kev.
For anybody to overtake this interview for the entire 2024 year. And I mean, let's be real. Gil and Ocho and Shannon is really, really good. So I know they might want to transition, but you better do your absolute best to appease him, keep him happy, and keep him fully invested. Because he could
leverage.
Very well.
That's the word I was looking for. All them got the leverage. Shannon he building the leverage. Stephen A got the leverage. McAfee got the leverage. He got it.
Yeah. And that's I'll say this. He could be a journalist. I'll give you Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes, when you came in, definitely all the smoke, he was not a journalist. He was a guy, and they were having conversations, him and Steven Jackson. Now, if you look how polished Matt Barnes is with that show, he is a legitimate journalist. He's a good interviewer. He keeps everything together, and he doesn't do it in a way that takes away from what their thing was, where they sitting there smoking weed and kicking it. And that's a unique skill.
I think journalist is the wrong word. I had to look it up to make sure, because I make sure I was correct. Journalist is more journaling. That's writing. So there's you get a different type of training to become a journalist. I agree with Nessa saying that Shannon Sharp is not there to be a journalist. He's an analyst. He's there to be an analyst, and he's there to be, if you expected him to be a seasoned analyst with a journalist background, then she's right. You need to temper your expectations. But you're right saying, hey, Shannon Sharp gonna be Shannon Sharp. They didn't hire him for his credentials that he had in school. They hired him for his personality and his social
Nobody
media
wants Peter Jennings from Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp's personality is the selling point.
Exactly.
There's a different group of people who do that, and that is your earning. Yeah, but when it comes to this, you can still be yourself and be a great interviewer. And if you can match your personality with the fact that these people look more comfortable talking to you than talking to these other people who culturally probably don't mix the same, or like even Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, due to what that podcast has kind of built on, there are certain people who are probably not the most interested in being on that podcast. So Shannon gives you a different thing, but I'm going to tell you, Shannon, Ocho, and Gil, y'all better watch out. Y'all better watch out. And if Ocho and Gil ever really commit to like doing media instead of doing media and having fun, oh man.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's
tough, man. But that was fun, man. So with that being said, we are done with the pregame.